Today on Rappler, a metro rail transit train derails and slams into the Taft station, injuring passengers. A court orders retired Major General Jovito Palparan jailed in Bulacan. The Vatican asks the Philippine government to help Christians persecuted in Iraq.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. A metro rail transit or MRT train derails and slams into a terminal in southern Metro Manila, injuring several passengers Wednesday. In a radio interview, a passenger says the problems began at the Magallanes station when the air conditioning stopped working. Passengers panicked when doors opened as the train approached Taft station. The incident caused a small stampede at the station. Reports say the train hit a post that fell on a car. 38 passengers were injured and were brought to nearby hospitals. The youngest victim is 6 months old. DOTC MRT3 issues an advisory on its official Twitter account, citing what it called a technical problem. LRTA and MRT3 spokesman Hernando Cabrera says train coach 003B lost power between the Magallanes and Taft stations a little over past 4 p.m. Another train came to its rescue, linked with the stalled train, and tried to push it out of harm's way, all part of standard procedure. Caught between stations, passengers of the stalled train were not allowed to get off. Cabrera says, quote, "The problem was, while it was being pushed, the trains became uncoupled." He says since the stalled train had no power, its brakes weren't working, causing it to derail. Transportation Secretary Jun Abaya defends the train system's maintenance, but says a probe will determine the cause of the accident.
There's no lapse in our maintenance. No, there's no as again, no, the little that I know so far, there might be a lapse in the procedure rather than a failure of parts or failure in maintenance. But again, I'm not closing the fact. We have to investigate everything and share to the public the real cause.
Apart from the Transportation Department, police will also investigate the 2 train drivers. The MRT resumed operations 5 p.m. Wednesday, but officials say trains will be delayed with only a single track operational at the Taft station. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, advises motorists to expect heavy traffic near the station. This is the train system's worst accident. A Bulacan court answers the question where to detain the most wanted man in the Philippines. Malolos Regional Trial Court Judge Teodora Gonzalez orders the detention of fugitive Major General Jovito Palparan at the Bulacan Provincial Jail. On the day of his arrest, Palparan said he can be jailed anywhere as long as he's safe from the, quote, enemy, referring to the communist movement. But Justice Secretary Laila de Lima says the government needs to, quote, absolutely ensure Palparan's safety. She says, as the current custodian, the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, doesn't want to be blamed should anything bad happen to Palparan. Palparan's arraignment is set on Monday. He and 3 other military personnel are charged with 2 counts of kidnapping and serious illegal detention for the 2006 kidnappings of students Sherlyn Cadapan and Karen Empeño. Palparan evaded an arrest warrant from the same court in 2011, hiding from authorities until his capture. The Human Rights Watch group says Palparan's arrest gives President Benigno Aquino an opportunity to make real progress on his long unfulfilled promise to end rights abuses. The Vatican's ambassador to the Philippines asks the Philippine government to exert all efforts to help thousands of Christians persecuted in Iraq. In a letter dated Monday, Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Giuseppe Pinto, through the Catholic Bishops' Conference, or CBCP, requests the Philippines for, quote, prayers and solidarity for the suffering people of Iraq. CBCP head Archbishop Socrates Villegas says the Vatican will course their request through diplomatic channels. DFA spokesman Charles Jose says the feasibility of giving asylum to Christians in Iraq is up for discussion. The Vatican gives its approval to U.S. military airstrikes in Iraq, a rare exception to its policy of peaceful conflict resolution. The Holy See's ambassador to the United Nations, Silvano Tomasi, says he supports U.S. airstrikes aimed at stopping the advance of ISIS militants. Tomasi calls for intervention before it's too late. He adds, Military action might be necessary. The Vatican disapproved of the U.S.-led campaign in Iraq in 2003 and planned airstrikes on Syria in 2013, but fears of a Christian genocide forced this policy change. Tomasi's appeal follows warnings from church leaders in Iraq. The persecution of Christians and Yazidis in the war-torn region will exterminate religious groups and their way of life. Earlier, the Vatican was criticized for being slow to react, with Pope Francis limiting himself to calls for a peaceful resolution. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, seized control of villages in the northern Syrian province of Aleppo. Syrian Observatory for Human Rights on Wednesday says the capture is a strategic conquest, setting the stage for the attack of Marya and Azaz towns. Marya is a stronghold of the coalition of Islamist groups fighting against ISIS, while Azaz is at the border of Turkey, a gateway for the Caliphate's expansion. ISIS emerged from an al-Qaeda spin-off in Iraq, initially fighting alongside Syrian opposition, but its brutality against civilians and rival fighters sparked a backlash. More than 170,000 have been killed in Syria since the conflict began in March of 2011. Technocrats and politician supporters of Indonesian President-elect Joko Widodo, or Jokowi, topped the online poll for Indonesia's next cabinet. The initial phase of the People's Proposed Alternative Cabinet got inputs from more than 109,000 participants. Leaders of the Jokowi Center online poll are Jokowi spokesman Anies Baswedan for the Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs, Indonesian economist Faisal Basri for two ministries, Public Housing and National Development Planning, and IT expert Ono Purbo for the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. A few well-performing incumbents also received strong support. Foreign Affairs Minister Martina Talagawa, Tourism and Creative Economy Minister Mari Pangestu, and Corruption Eradication Commission Chairman Abraham Samad. The second phase of the online polls begin Wednesday, August 13th. Police reveal more details behind the death of award-winning Hollywood actor Robin Williams. Reports say Williams was found in his bedroom with a belt around his neck and shallow cuts on his wrist. Williams died from asphyxia due to hanging. An official report will only be released upon the completion of toxicology tests. Williams' wife, Susan Schneider, was the last person to see him alive Sunday night. Schneider left the house Monday morning, assuming Williams was asleep in a separate room. Williams was reportedly dealing with severe depression at the time of his death. He battled alcoholism and drug abuse in the past and openly spoke about it. Williams leaves behind his 3 children and Schneider, his 3rd wife. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, Robin Williams' suicide puts the spotlight on depression as a mental illness. Williams is not the first Hollywood star to suffer from depression. Jim Carrey, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Stephen Fry also dealt with this problem. A French psychiatrist says artists are often people who are more sensitive, who feel emotions more strongly. The World Health Organization says more than 350 million people of all ages suffer from depression. At number 6, U.S. President Barack Obama on Tuesday appealed for calm in Missouri as riots escalate over the shooting of black teenager Michael Brown. Obama urges the public to remember the young victim in, quote, a way that heals, not in a way that wounds. Brown was shot in broad daylight Saturday. A dozen businesses in a St. Louis suburb were looted after a vigil for Brown ended in clashes with the police. And at number 7, Google announces plans to build a new undersea cable in partnership with 5 Asian telecom companies called Faster. Mashable reports NEC, KDDI, China Telecom Global, Singtel, China Mobile International, and Global Transit are all part of the consortium. The cable will boast of speeds of up to 60 terabytes per second and will cost $300 million. It's scheduled to be completed by the second quarter of 2016. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer is now the official owner of NBA team Los Angeles Clippers. The $2 billion transaction pushed through after a California court said Shelley Sterling had the authority to sell the team. The team was put up for sale after the NBA slapped a lifetime ban on former Clippers owner Donald Sterling for making racist remarks. A video aired on celebrity website TMZ showed Sterling criticizing his girlfriend for having her picture taken with black people. Clippers head coach Doc Rivers says the team can now focus on basketball. He says, quote, "I couldn't be more excited to work with Steve as we continue to build a first-class champion organization." Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. If you take a look, these 10 stories have affected our readers, have gotten the most number of views on the mood meter. And you can see today, we still have Robin Williams, 3 stories that all have sad. 50% sad on Robin Williams' Philam ex-wife, who's Marcia Garces. Today, police, Robin Williams hanged by belt in apparent suicide, 68% sad. And the story that hit this afternoon, gotten the most number of votes, MRT3 train derailed, injuries reported, 27% afraid, 47% angry. That red bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Wednesday, August 13th, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.